So I have a question from a commenter who is worried about her relationship with her boyfriend due to her drinking. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. This commenter writes, "Hello, I was worried about a situation with my boyfriend. I hit him with a pillow when I was blacked out drunk and upset, and now the relationship is at risk. I completely understand why it is at risk, and I've taken responsibility for my actions. I've quit drinking and started therapy again, and I'm tracking my sobriety. Is it most likely that this relationship is over for good?" So again, I don't know your situation. I don't know you personally. We have no relationship, so I'm just going to answer this question as generally as possible. Um, Number one, if you have a drinking problem, you do need to get professional help for it. So I would say that. So if your therapist, if you, I heard you say you started therapy again, might be a good idea to also see a psychiatrist. But if you've started therapy, it's in your best interest to have therapy with someone who specializes in or has a good amount of experience in treating substance abuse. You also will most likely need some peer support groups such as AA, NA, and all of that kind of good stuff is what I would recommend you doing. I don't know what your history with alcohol is, but it sounds like it may be pretty serious based off of what you wrote to me. You may need to see a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists can help with prescribing an antidepressant medication as well as an alcohol deterrent, such as Antabuse or some medication like that, which will help to deter you from drinking alcohol, um, and that sort of stuff. But I think the core thing that you will need to do is you need to get to what's why is drinking a coping skill for you. But I definitely think beefing up the support, having an adequate professional team that you're working with to get your situation straight. I think that should be first and foremost what you are thinking about, is taking care of yourself. Number two, you asked if your relationship is at risk. I don't know. I don't know your boyfriend or your partner. I don't know their situation or the history between you two, or just where they're at with things with you. Um, you know, uh, so I'm not sure if they're done with you, but in any case, if you two don't have children, if you two don't have anything that legally binds you two together, maybe they should be. And I don't say that to sound harsh, but I'm saying that from a place of, like, right now, again, I go back to the first point. Your first thing that you need to be worried about or concerned about and focusing all of your energy towards is yourself, and getting yourself on the right track, and not towards a relationship. If you've and I understand you hit him with a pillow. Again, I don't know how bad it was or what transpired during that, but I think anytime you get to the point where you're throwing things or hitting people with things or putting your hands on somebody is pretty serious, and you really need to take a step back and focus on yourself, and get yourself to a place where you're okay, and you would never do that again. And you can take accountability for your actions in relationships. In my experience, people need to have consequences for their actions in order for true change to take place. Usually, it's very seldom that people can, get a slap on the wrist and say, "Oh, okay, we can go back and we can be better than before." Means sometimes, but more often than not, there usually needs to be a consequence for actions. So if your partner decides to stay with you, great. But if they decide to part ways with you, I think, you may need to respect that given the gravity of the situation, because you have some issues of your own that you need to be giving your primary attention and focus to. I hope that helped. And lastly, if anybody who has an addiction, whether it be alcohol, drugs, or anything else, that relationship with that substance or that addiction is always going to come first before anybody else, before children, before partners, before the job, before anything. It doesn't matter if people say that they're functioning or not. That's going to be your primary relationship. So, with that being said, there may have been a part of you, if you were struggling with sobriety, where you were completely selfish and put that in front of your partner. And, be that as it may, people do not have to stay on the roller coaster ride with you in your life. They don't have to do that. They don't need to be forced to do that or expected to do that. If they do that, great, but that should not ever be an expectation for anybody. When mistakes are made, and that's a part of adulthood that nobody really likes to talk about. But Dr. Jones is going to let you know and give it to you straight. And so, with that being said, I think if your partner doesn't decide to take a step back, I think you should take a step back. And I think you should be selfish in focusing on yourself, but the intention is going to be different than it was before. And it's not, in my opinion, that's not a 2 week or 3 week or 4 week process. Even, I think, and I don't know the extensiveness of your challenges with sobriety, but I think no less than a year you should be dedicated to working on that and getting yourself stable in all other aspects of life. Because chances are, if you were struggling in your relationship and with your sobriety, you were also struggling in other areas as well. So I would say you need to be intentional about getting yourself back on track and getting the support that you need and making sure that you are good. And this is not meant to be a negative response in any way. I wish you well on your recovery process. I'm sorry that that happened. It sounds like you are remorseful. Um, and that's understandable, and I'm glad that you feel that way. But it's good to kind of maybe take a little break, continue doing the work on yourself, give everybody some space, and then maybe you can come back together. I hope that helps you. Thanks so much.